Welcome to the Parallel Minds podcast. This is the first. This is a special moment. If you're seeing this around the time it was uploaded, you were watching the beginning of greatness.
This podcast will be mostly about economic issues and also life in itself. So this will be a truly intellectual podcast. And if you're not an intellectual type person, you can click off.
Well, I feel like this podcast is going to be about much more than economics. That's not really my forte.
Of course. It'll be about reality in itself.
It'll be about reality.
The mind and its thoughts. Hence the meaning of parallel minds.
Oh.
Great minds think alike. Parallel mind.
No, they don't.
Do
great minds think alike, or are there no great minds?
Or do minds think differently?
Do great minds think alike, or are there no great minds? Because if you observe, I call it the futility of thought, right? And you're aware of this because you brought it up to me before about original thinking. That a lot of what we think is just influence. Like you can't explain something that you don't understand. Right. You don't understand anything that you haven't been taught. It's not your idea. You can combine ideas and make them quote your own. But do great minds think alike, or are there no great minds? Because when the around the same time or in different times around the world, a lot of different philosophical schools that were seas away came to the same conclusions about things. So reading about that in Stillness is Key by Ryan Holiday. The idea of stillness. I don't remember the words, but they all came to the same conclusion of stillness is good. Presence, right? Buddhism.
Right.
Stoicism,
like I explained about stillness,
Christianity. I don't have the right words to explain.
Right. But like I explained about stillness, motion is medicine. Is this the saying? Motion is medicine.
I mean metaphysical stillness, though. I don't mean.
Right.
I'm talking about stillness of the mind, not of the body. You can be still and running.
Right. But what would you prefer, stillness of the mind or stillness of the body?
Stillness of the mind. Because then you can always be still.
Right. Stillness, but I don't think most understand what stillness means. Stillness does not mean empty thought. It does not mean your mind is fully off.
Certainly not.
It means more of your mind is working in a calm state.
Focus.
Is how I feel.
Focused is a good word for it.
Focused. That is a good word.
Your mind is empty of only the things that are unimportant. You're present, but thinking.
Right.
About what actually matters.
Right. And what actually matters is up to you, mostly. But what is matter? What is
matter in what sense? What is important?
What is important?
Aristotle said that man is made to know. And what that means to me, I've interpreted that a lot of different ways. But if you look at the work by Mark Manson, he says that in life you must suffer to choose the right career, choose your suffering. Right? So no matter who you are, you go through life and you're going to do something. Right? Unless you fucking kill yourself, even that's something. You were the guy who killed himself.
Right.
You're going to do something. You just get to choose what that is. You could choose to be the homeless, gambling man in the street. That's still something. You can choose to become a rich, successful billionaire. That's still something. The meaning... There's not really an objective meaning to life because everybody finds it differently.
Right.
Nothing truly matters. But if you find something that matters to you, like this doesn't matter in 100 trillion years. No one's going to be watching.
Of course.
This, right? But it matters to me now. And therefore it's giving me something that means something in my life.
Right. And for when you brought up man is made to know, for me that means knowledge. Man is made to know. You always have, even when you're a kid, you have that...
Curiosity.
Curiosity is a good word to describe it. But also a sense of wanting to know. And a sense of putting knowledge above everything else. Almost a thinking that is like, why does this happen? When does this happen? How does it happen? Almost trying to get to know. And I feel as you grow up,
Isn't
that
that
knowledge is
curiosity?
turned off. Curiosity, but also, is it curiosity?
What is curiosity to you?
Right. What is curiosity to me is the search for something always. So it's a constant search. So if you're curious about something, then you always want to know about that thing, or not even knowledge. In a sense, curiosity is anything that you could want to do. It's a want.
To me, man is made to know. That's why I don't think I closed my idea correctly. Why I was referencing Mark Manson and Aristotle in the same idea is because to me, man is made to know. Everything we do revolves around knowing,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
So somebody might be,
Of course, school.
somebody might be interested in the workings of a car, right?
Of course. Many are.
But it all leads to the pursuit of the same type of knowledge, right? Because when someone has an inclination and interest for something, right? Say, I don't know, Muhammad Ali, his gift was boxing. Or
Right.
you think of like famous writers, fucking Shakespeare. His
However, he
gift
wouldn't
was
have
writing.
discovered that skill unless
But-
he had the curiosity to discover it.
But here's the thing: the thing that draws us to those things is, you're aware of like the flow state, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Flow. Robert Greene, in his book Mastery, says that the mind is more fluid than you could imagine. Finding, I guess he says essentially your flow. It's in different words, terms used in the book, but he says that essentially flow represents a return to reality. And I
But
think
what
that,
is reality?
well, that's what we're in search of. That's why man is made to know. That's why
Right.
man doesn't know.
Right.
He wants to know. That's why he seeks the things that he can enter into these states where time passes and you're not aware of it, where a minute
that's-
feels like an hour.
That is what and the relation of these topics is only available because of words.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, are words reality? Because words are what you make reality of. Is it not?
Well,
But what are words?
exactly. There's something predated to words, so words can't be
Right.
reality. Because if words are able to define something like reality, that means reality already existed in the absence of them. If
Right.
yeah. So, I don't know. Words are weird because they're either the greatest. Language is either the greatest advancement humans have ever made, or the worst, because it limits you in a lot of ways. When you limit your
Right.
thinking to grammatical structures, to certain ideas, certain concepts that you can't just capture with things like that.
And even with words, I mean, words go back thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years. Different speaking of tone. Words are like tones. We talked about this with animals understanding tones. If you yell at your dog in an angry manner, your dog's going to be scared and cower
Yeah,
away.
really, I think returning to primal forms of communication
Right.
is the best shot we can.
It's a lot of tone. Tone determines understanding. If I were to yell at you in an
That's why
angry
music
tone,
is that why music touches the soul so much deeper than words can.
right? Music is a tone, a different
Mhm.
tone. No, it's a song tone. So in a way,
You said that touch is the most powerful though.
touch is the most powerful because it allows you to describe what it feels like without needing words. You have it in your head already because it's been already in your head. It's very hard to describe what it would be like if you didn't learn a language, because I've learned a language.
You know what I want to do? I was reading about in Stillness is Key, and we were just talking about Stillness by Ryan Holiday.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking about some lady. I don't know the fuck her name, but she was an artist. She had this event where it was just her in a chair. You sit down in the chair, and for an hour, you just look at each other. And most people in that experience broke down crying, and it changed them forever.
But why?
Well, I think that obviously people nowadays aren't very present. How many people do you know at our school that fucking meditate? Right? People
Very
aren't
little.
very little, right?
It's a time grab.
Even in a conversation like this, I have to think about what I'm gonna say, right? Oftentimes when you're talking to somebody, you're not experiencing them fully there. They're waiting. You ever had a conversation?
It's a flow.
You ever had a conversation with somebody, and they're engaged in a conversation with you, but you can tell that while you're speaking, they're just thinking about what they're gonna say next. And you can observe that in yourself. If you talk to a girl that you're like really nervous to talk to, and you're overthinking about what to say, it goes so much smoother when you empty your mind and you don't go up with a plan to say and you just let it flow out of you.
Right, it's a flow. All conversations have a
It's
flow.
a flow, but when you remove words and you remove the need to think about anything else and you just stare at a person, it's like you can read their thoughts. It's like you need nothing more than that person. It's like you're fully experiencing someone for the first time ever. And that's what it's like when you're in love. That's why it's such an appealing feeling.
Right. And my take on that, we were going deeper into the tone thing. I'm going back to that because speech is a word. Flow of conversation is only allowed by words. How would there be a flow if I wasn't talking to you? So, back to the same point. If it's just a tone,
There can be flow of other things.
and you're letting it out, aren't words an emotion? All words must be emotions. Because you feel a certain way about something, which is why you're talking about it. That's why we have this podcast.
Like if I say faggot right now, people get offended by that.
Right. But it's just what you thought. It's not real. The word is only not...
Well, wouldn't that mean that
Right.
well, an emotion is a thought though, and a thought is a word is a thought.
Right. So that is an emotion. That's an emotion you just expressed with another person.
Well, obviously.
But then they express their emotion back of being angry. See? Words are an emotion in a much of a way. Which is why when you yell at the dog, their emotion is...
They're an expression of an emotion, not directly though.
Right. But in a way it can be. For lesser... for lesser animals like dogs or cats that understand tones and rather obviously they don't understand words. Some do, like sit, but that's also a tone, is it not?
Yeah.
Are they understandable? Yes. So it's all understandable, but can it be spoken? It's an emotion, so it's an expression of an emotion, but do they have that expression available to them? We don't know.
Express it through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's an expression. You can see a dog get mad. I'll let you. Cat with his.
Right. But can they talk? No. But can they? Maybe they can. Maybe they can say words. Is it scientifically possible? Probably not.
No, I don't have the right vocal. That's why parrots will say words.
Right.
They have the right vocal boxes.
Well, I want to hear your opinion on, since today was the last day of school, and we're starting this on the last day of school, I want to hear your opinion on the seniors who I've talked to, who are very much unready. The unreadiness for the world is apparent. What is your thoughts about unreadiness? If somebody's, let's say, I had a friend, and I'll say his name, Mahesh, my friend, was unready to quit his addiction. He wasn't ready. But what is readiness? I just wanted to hear your opinion on what readiness is for certain events, for the world, for the circumstances being put onto you.
I think a lot of people mistake being ready for being prepared.
Right.
Right? You can try and prepare yourself for what's to come, right? People will go to college. You want to, fuck you.
Uh-huh.
You want to prepare yourself to get into a good career, to raise your family right, whatever. But you can't be ready for anything because you can't depend on that preparation. Right? Your fucking leg issue came out of nowhere. Right now, you want to tell them what's going on with your leg?
Yeah, my leg vein has an injury to it. It's supposed to be normal. I got screwed over, unlucky, or what is luck, but I got misfortune was brought upon me and my leg. Basically, I have to get surgery to be put under. It's unfortunate. It's a long procedure because it's a vein, but at the end of the day, it's something to learn from, something to improve my state. It's something else accomplished in my lifetime, but misfortune happens. Was I prepared for it? No. Was I ready for it? Yes. That's why I think readiness is different than preparation. Preparation is, I was already expecting this to happen. I was ready for whatever could happen next.
Mm-hmm.
Readiness, like I just used, I was ready for it to happen next. Readiness is ready for whatever to happen next. So when the doctor said, listen, this, and this is going on with your leg, I was ready for him to say the worst. And that's why every day I expect the worst outcome, and I
Yeah.
enjoy every outcome that isn't the worst.
Well, Stoics called that premeditatum malorum, which is premeditation of evils.
Mhm.
Really is a valuable thing to do. Foreseeing the worst
That's why I do it every day.
in everything. If I was about to go and give a speech in front of 1 million people, think about the worst. What's the worst thing that could happen? All right, so you could be embarrassed. You could walk out, and a bubble of snot pops on your face, and you stutter and trip over your words, and
But is that the
millions
worst?
of people. No, you could also get shot.
Right. But is that the worst? You could always go
No.
deeper.
You could go deeper, but if you imagine the worst thing and then you go out there,
And then something mildly bad happens,
Something
it seems like
mildly-
the best.
it seems like a good outcome in
Right.
comparison to what could have happened. And if the best goes, then you're pleasantly surprised. Seneca
Right.
said that if you try to fail, you can always win. And that doesn't mean don't try. That means want the best outcome. Not expect it, but want it.
Right.
Because if you want it, if you look at what you can get out of it, like with your leg, right?
Mhm.
That's certainly going to breed some mental resilience going through
Of
this.
course.
You're gonna have to go through your surgery. You're not gonna be able to walk for like 60. That's
Not only that, but anxiety is a thing.
Mhm.
It's not, I wouldn't say it's even real. It's my thought. It's a thought of mind that is a normal human emotion to feel because of when we were primitive living. Anxiety was much more present. If I was about to go fight a woolly mammoth, my anxiety would be through the roof.
Mhm.
It would be so intense, but that anxiety leads to strength. If you've ever been really anxious and you have a panic attack, that panic attack is only because of 10,000 years ago, people had to, even longer than that ago, people had to fight these big creatures that could come out of anywhere. Saber-toothed tigers, they could attack. They wouldn't know. They had to be ready. The readiness was the anxiety. They were anxious for what would happen next. They needed the plan. They needed the satisfaction of knowing that they were ready for anything.
I think something that makes anxiety worse, though, is
Right.
language. If you want to look back to that, right? Because we can label things bad or good, right? So you say, anxiety is a bad thing. Don't be anxious. That's what my fucking biology teacher was saying.
But there's
You
good
don't want to.
anxiety.
You don't want to be anxious for your Regents exam, right? But when
Right.
you tell someone don't be anxious, and then they feel anxious, they think it's a bad thing, and it makes them more anxious about being anxious.
Right.
Mark Manson calls that the feedback loop from hell.
Right. That's why I know, but you have to recognize there's both. There is bad anxiety where it's
It's
breaking
about the way
you
you
down.
frame it.
Right.
Same thing with stress.
But if you get anxious over something like, let's say, the Regents, is that something to be anxious about? No, because you need to be ready. Having that readiness leads to no anxiety. If you're not ready, you're anxious, which is why I brought up readiness and anxiety combined. But let's say I was anxious because of my leg. That's good anxiety. And the reason why that's good anxiety and why I've learned that that's good anxiety is because the outcome in that is really, really, really bad. But the result is really, really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
You can wager it from, oh, I could die under anesthesia, to, oh, this vein gets removed and now I can run better, faster, I'm stronger, I'm more ready, I'm better adapted, I don't need to go get it done when I'm 90. There's a big wager where you can be like, this is bad or this is good in good anxiety. And you make your good anxiety.
Epictetus, you have two handles.
Right.
Despair or prosper in every situation.
There's a lot to think about, I feel like, but also there's not. Because all the answers have already been solved.
There's already material for solving them in your mind.
Right.
It's all there, you just need to figure it out.
Unlock your true capability.
Think about it, if you have every word, if you have, I mean, bigger words are just a composition of smaller
You
words.
do have every word. And that means
Yeah.
you can
That's what I'm
say...
saying. That means you can say anything, that means
Right.
you can explain anything. It's only a matter of finding it.
But the thing is, even especially in our grade, I don't want to say even, there's many, I don't want to say completely illiterate, but semi-illiterate kids.
No one can read. They're all fucking stupid.
I don't want to say they're all, because I don't compare myself to them. I compare myself to higher people of higher quality, which is why I'm still at the bottom. I'm at the bottom of my list in terms of money, in terms of succession, in terms of audience.
Yeah. It's great to do that. That's one of the things I hate about school, though.
It keeps you surrounded by low-level people.
Get stuck in a trap of, I guess, sort of like a confirmation bias of your ego.
Right.
Right? So, I've gone into school. I mean, even today, I was getting compliments on my physique when I was wearing the tank top and everything.
Right.
People were saying, bro, you look huge. Look at that fucking vein on your bicep.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, blah, 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 blah. Girls were looking at me, whatever. Girls will literally tell me that my shoulders look nice today. And that gets you relatively satisfied.
Right.
But it's different. But it's different when I go into the gym and there's a fucking 300-pound lean beast there benching 405 for his warm up.
Right. You look like nothing.
I look like nothing, and that's when I get a little bit angry, a little bit more dissatisfied. I look at myself.
Is a privilege.
Yeah, and I look at myself. I think, man, I'm a fucking pussy. Like that. That's my real competition. And
right.
that's when I perform the best in the gym, is when that guy's in there.
Of course, because you're weak when you're surrounded by weak people. You're strong when you're surrounded by strong people.
Mm-hmm. And school forces you to be surrounded by weak people. It's just a matter of separating yourself mentally.
Is it forcing, or that's what I was about to say? Is it forcing, or more of a mind game?
It's more of a mind game.
That's true. And because you mentioned weakness, in a sense, I don't think weakness is real. Because think about it. At a point, I was very weak.
Yeah.
We would call it weak. But now I'm not weak, but I'm weak. I'm weak in certain categories. So is being weak being almost stationary?
Well, maybe we just shouldn't say it as a general statement of,
right.
oh, that person. But you also can.
Right.
If someone
it's stationary in a way. If you stay weak. Stationary. It's like a stationary being. You go through.
I would
your whole
define
life.
someone who is weak as someone who has no strength in any area of life, right? So if you look at someone who's like fat,
mm-hmm.
but they make a lot of money in business, the person's not weak financially. But if you look at someone who's
But they're weak physically.
But if you look at someone who's fat and all they have is, like, I don't know, they're good at RuneScape, which is worth like nothing except to the other losers that they might be able to monetize off of that. Right? Like, they can't speak, like, they stutter too much, no one would ever want to watch them. Right, they don't have any skills to monetize, even
without those basic skills, they still won't make money. So
that's someone who's weak to me.
Right.
Someone who has we'll call them disabilities. I'll start calling people who play video games disabled. It's my new word for them, a disabled person.
But are people who play video games disabled by what? Physical or mental?
Mental. That's what we were talking about with presence. They're barred from the pursuit of reality, which man is made to know is the purpose of life.
And we could go deep into purpose, but I'd rather not in the first episode. Anything could happen with further purpose in life. Your purpose could be to be a track star. Your purpose could be to be an Olympic runner. What is purpose, in a sense?
Purpose is up to the individual because man is made to know.
Right. Or is it finding out your true capability?
That's precisely. I love that quote so much. I want to get it tattooed on me one day because it says everything in what is that? 4 words. Man is made to. No, that's 5 words. Man is made to know. That's what we spend our whole lives doing. If you want to look at it objectively as something that a universal purpose, something that everyone takes like part in.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody tries to find some form of meaning. So even if you make the argument that, okay, Christianity is the truth, Islam is the truth, whatever, you're still explaining the world in some way, just the way a nihilist will say, oh, life is meaningless. You're still finding some way to make the world comprehensible. You're still doing something.
Right, and religion is a big topic. one for a different day probably.
Mhm.
But when we get onto that topic, of course I don't want to say it's argumentative because both of us have open views of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Is it, I don't know if it's a sensitive topic either. I feel like it's more of a, I don't want to even say that religion is a total belief. Because
I find many inconsistencies when I speak to religious people.
sometimes, but
I've
do they know
never-
their faith? That's what I'm saying. Most don't. At least most I talk to.
I really did at a point this year for a few months. I remember I told you I think I want to convert to Christianity.
Right.
Right? I told you that.
But
Now,
you have to be firm.
I have
there's
to
a
be
difference
firm.
between
I have to be
firm.
sure. That's why I haven't done it. I have to be sure.
Right.
But I spoke to a lot of people about it. I watched, George Janko and things like that.
Of course. Research.
And I just can't find. There always seems to be inconsistencies in the arguments. Like I would click on a video, and essentially they would determine the truth of their religion
Mm-hmm.
through process of elimination or prosecuting someone else's argument, right? So
Okay.
you'll see like the people who will preach religiously on the streets, and then some dumbass lady will be like, well, show me the fucking medical records of Jesus Christ, his resurrection. And
Okay.
obviously they didn't keep medical records back
Of
then.
course.
So
Okay.
the guy will say, oh, well, show me a medical record of Aristotle. Show me one of Socrates. And basically that doesn't, prove your religion, but it disproves her argument. And that's where they leave it off at.
Because there's no way to prove it.
There is. That's why they call it faith. There
There's-
is no.
there isn't.
I mean,
That's why they call it
there
faith.
isn't. I mean, there isn't. There
Right.
isn't. That's why they
Right.
call it faith.
And I think next episode we should go in depth about religious, not even beliefs, but capabilities in religion. What changes? What's the difference? And I've done a lot of study on my own faith of Christianity, and especially being in Catholicism. But where is the line between belief and faith? Because belief and faith are different words for a different reason.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we should leave that till next episode. And I hope you guys
Well, I want
liked-
to. I want to say one more.
One more thing?
One more thing, though, connecting back to when we were talking about language.
Mhm.
It's one of the reasons I hate language. I know I sent you that thing, or you watched it by Alan Watts,
right.
where he talks about just like this recording.
Mhm.
Someone could chop this up, and make me say, "I am a fat gay faggot," like whatever.
Okay.
Right? They can make it mean whatever they want it to mean. They can chop it up, take it out of context, edit it, change
Context
the
is key.
tonation,
Go on.
whatever.
Right.
Just like with a message from a higher being, when that is translated and passed along like telephone game, people interject their opinions into that.
Well, the same thing is.
Right,
Well,
there's-
that's a further conversation for religion.
Mm-hmm.
What?
But
What
what
do we
but
know
what
and what do we don't
what is
know?
true? Yeah.
Right.
There's so many different, fucking Mormonism, shit
Right.
like that.
I think when we have episode 2 will be solely focused on religion. I think that would be great.
I want to do our talk about relationships.
Episode 3.
I have a lot to say for episode 3.
There's a ton of content coming.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And this will be unedited
Of course.
because
No reason to edit it.
even if the phone fell 10 times, this will be unedited.
That's
no
our
reason
style.
to edit it. That's our style.
Unedited.
In nature, sitting
nature.
down.
Nature does not edit itself. We do
Right.
not alter the message. We say it as it is said.
Of course. Thank you guys for watching. I
Mhm.
hope you stay
Mhm.
tuned for episode 2. Shall be very interesting.
Mwah. Little kiss.
Nah.
Little kiss.
Nah.
Little kiss.
Nah.
Little kiss of your pussy.
Nah.